At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the September 22nd meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes of the September 22nd, 2025 board meeting.
Can I get a second? All in favor? And the motion carries 7-0. I don't believe we have anybody for public participation tonight, so that moves us to our action agenda, with action as necessary or appropriate on matters discussed in executive session.
Make a motion to approve selected employment items shown in Exhibit A.
Second.
All in favor? And the motion carries 7-0.
That's everything.
I move that we approve the contract regarding Irmo High School Phase 2 per Exhibit D.
Second.
All those in favor? And the motion carries 7-0. That moves us to item 13, approval of grant-funded supplement requests.
Yes, Madam Chair. We seek approval for two. These are grant-funded supplements. These are approved on a rolling basis. Dr. Turner, if you can present Exhibit F for us. You can do it from the seat.
Make a motion to approve the grant-funded supplement request shown in Exhibit F.
Do I have a second?
I'd like to,
Well, before we
I'm
open it
sorry.
for dis-
Second.
All right.
I'd like to make an amendment to that motion. Part of that, this motion includes something that we've discussed recently and we did not, as a board, did not approve on a position, and that is number 1 on Exhibit F. So I'd like to make a motion to amend this motion to remove that first listed request, but to approve the second one.
Second.
Sorry. We have an amendment to the motion on the floor. Is there any further discussion or questions? Ms. Huddle?
I will say point of clarification. I don't know that you can, in your amendment, you can say to exclude this and approve that. I think it probably needs to just be to exclude if that's, all right.
I apologize, just excluded that one, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you want me to speak to that? Well, like I said, we voted on this just recently, and we had a lot of discussion about this. That first request is something that is a job description for a position that we just recently approved, and in their request, they listed all the items that person is normally the athletic director. I'll go and throw that out. That athletic director is responsible for, and I just think that if the athletic director who took the job is unable to perform those tasks that is in their job description, that I don't know that we should be approving somebody else to help do their job. And that's, I know throughout the district we have different setups because we have one school where you have a head football coach who's also the athletic director. But at this particular school, we have a football coach who's the assistant athletic director, and then we have an athletic director. And we had this discussion before, and we voted on this, and part of the responsibilities of that person who took that job are the description for their request is in their job description. So that's my reason.
Go ahead.
Mr. Satterfield, so you're referring to number 1 on page 2 of Exhibit F, correct? Yes. And so part of that says to help. Like the description is to support the AD and then to help supervise athletic events, which they need help supervising athletic events. So why would we not want to compensate
Well,
the assistant AD?
having had a lot of experience with this, you have an assistant AD already. And the busiest time for the extra support is in the spring when you don't have football. They do not have football responsibilities. You also have an admin team. As you know, we went to the Dutch Fork Chapin game, and we met many of the administrative assistants, and those others who are there supervising those events. I know the history. My history with dealing with a lot of this was, once you have approval of such a position, regardless on how it's paid for, then it becomes the expectations that that person, that is a role that needs to be fulfilled, so to speak. If you're hiring me to do a job, and here's my job description, and I'm interviewing, and you say, can you do these things? I said, yes, I'll take, and you say, here, would you like the job? And I say, yes. It wouldn't be, I don't think it's proper for me to come back and say, well, I need some help doing the very things that are on my job description. So that's my position.
Do we have any other questions or comments before we take a vote? All right, so we have a motion on the floor to exclude the supplement for position number 1, and it has been properly second. All those in favor? All opposed? And the motion carries 6-1. And then back to the original motion. Do we need a new motion?
No.
Okay, so now back to the original motion for the grant-funded supplement request. All those.
Can we ask some questions?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
So this is for Dazzlers? Is that a unique role at that school? Is there a comparable role at other schools?
Either Dr. Gary or Ms. Turner can speak to Dazzlers.
Sorry, I by default, I think Dazzlers, I think Dutch Fork, and still think of
I
you.
can speak in reference to the Dazzlers. I do not know if it's at other high schools.
It's unique to Dutch Fork High, Dutch Fork Middle request.
Okay, so it's like a dance team?
It is support
Okay.
of a dance team.
So Irmo and Chapin don't have a dance team? They do?
Chapin has, but not the Dazzlers, I don't think. This is unique. The Dazzlers are unique to Dutch Fork.
They perform at after-school events, extracurricular football games. They do competitions locally and at the national level.
So is this supplement because they're not getting the regular supplement, or is this on top of the regular supplement?
So this would be on top of the arts supplements that the district offers.
Okay. I'll just express a concern that I have about fairness, in that I just really worry that when you have, in this case, Spring Hill, it doesn't really apply, but when you have 3 high schools that may have different means and abilities to, for their booster clubs to generate revenue, that once we open this Pandora's box, okay, so now another school has enough money to hire 5 extra assistant football coaches, or I just want to put it out there. I'm sure that this is a very worthy cause, but I'm just worried if we open this box.
Dr. Ross?
I appreciate it. I think we're caught between, and I don't want to click all the way back to the superintendent's report, but I think if we look back and remember the current setup of our supplements, we only have 3 supplement schedules. By us trying to go to the additional 6 and review what we currently have, it's an attempt to try to get us out of this situation. You're still going to have grants that are going to be written and those supplements that are going to come through. But parent groups are also very interested, especially, and Herron can speak to, or maybe help me speak to this. BAM was one of those, where we had a lot of booster fundraised, and what the Irmo bands was different from what Chapin band needed. For instance, Irmo band may say, I need an extra flag front person, where Chapin band said, I need someone to assist with the percussion. Dutch Fork says, well, we need someone to help with sousaphones. Well, these were all different, and we were trying to meet the needs that were not outlined in our established piece. I think we mitigated that, Ms. Tucker, by giving, I think, additional $30,000 to all of those programs to try to meet those individual needs. We did not do that for any of the other schedules, so we did not do that for orchestra, for dance, for those. And so you see these coming up. It's our goal to, in this study, from November to April, to fix as much of this as possible so that we're not in that. But I'll still tell you, there'll still be a parent group to say, you know, I want, that person's great with flags, but this person's excellent with saber, and we would like to supplement them to help. So, Dr. Turner?
Yes, I did want to make sure that I was presenting on behalf of the school some additional information for you. And for both of these requests, I did want to point out that for Chapin High School, for their additional request, they did ask that I inform you that the request is for the additional support, particularly as it relates to providing consistent supervision of students. Within one night, there may be baseball, softball, soccer, or lacrosse, varsity, and middle school track occurring within the same setting, with track serving up to 150 students. And so the priority to supplement someone to get the additional coverage to assist is their effort to provide safety and emergency response readiness, facility oversight, and also help with parent and spectator relations, as well as on the weekend covering some of the additional tournaments for support. And on behalf of the Dutch Fork Middle School, they did want me to also convey the identified need for additional support. So I didn't want this item to pass without me conveying to you all what they asked to present to you on their behalf of the supplement request. Thank you for that opportunity.
Are we able to know, like, how many hours of work are we talking about for this?
Those are on a case-by-case basis. What we have asked is that when we issue supplements, we now ask for a supplement agreement to be signed, and with that supplement agreement, it's more of a commitment, almost like a mini job description that we're having the schools and the people accepting these supplements to tell us how many evenings are you providing supervision. So we are collecting that information. I don't have it in front of me because it'll be on a case-by-case basis, but we can collect exactly what this supplement would support.
So are we paying these folks on an hourly basis, and they'll have to fill out timesheets for each? Because that's how our supplements are working for the band staff, additional staff. And those band directors are saddled with filling out timesheets for these staff every week in order to get them paid.
No, these are a different type of supplements because they are one-time. So actually, if you were to probably look at hourly input for maybe from 800 to 3,400, it's really almost a voluntary basis if you look at the number of hours. So this is a one-time supplement that they're paid, and Ms. Tucker, you can chime in on how that's distributed to them. But it is not dispersed based on an hourly basis. And a lot of times these are maybe coaches, out-of-district coaches or in-district coaches who are agreeing to take on additional supervisory responsibilities in that capacity.
Okay, Ms. Huddle, Mr. Satterfield, and then I think Ms. Barnhart.
Okay, so I was looking at what all was in the exhibit, and on the last page, it says dance director, high school level, grades 9 through 12 is 5,500, and grades 6 through 8 is 2,500, and this said it was B team, C team, correct? So does that mean that this person would already receive the 2,500 supplement? Because I'm assuming there's already a 9th through 12th dance director.
Right, those are different. So that last page that you're looking at, those are for our certified staff. Are you looking at the page that has grades 9 through 12 and 6 through 8?
Yeah, so the dance director is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. It says dance director, and then if you go over to the grade 6 through 8 column, it's 2,500.
Yeah, so this entire page are supplements for our current staff. So these would be mostly for teachers or people who are employed with us that are doing something additional. So when you're looking at the dance director, orchestra director, jazz band director, these are actually teachers in our building that are receiving these supplements because they're doing duties on top of their regular teaching duties. When you're looking at the additional supplement request form, this could be an out-of-district coach or someone else outside of that.
So do we already have someone receiving the $2,500 supplement for dance at Dutch Fork?
That I could look up for you, because it's both the middle school and the high school, but this request would be to hire someone above and beyond that. So I could bring that back to you if that's information
Okay.
that you like.
And then the other question I had is the range. Why does it have a range? Wouldn't the amount be whatever the Booster Club has said that they're going to fund?
No, what we work with people on is similar to grants. Even if you had even if you raised $500, we still have to pay people equitable to what we would pay normally. So pay is based on experience. So just because you raise $500, if based on experience the person is to be paid $2,000, you have to pay them based on their experience, so that's that range.
And I couldn't find the dance under the experience. So was the next thing I was trying to do. So where's the schedule for dance
It's
based on
not there.
experience?
That's one that we work through the Office of Academics with, and Tina, you can chime in as well.
That's okay. I was just trying to fit. So just to kind of put a finer point on this. So what you're saying is regardless of how much money the Booster Club provides, we have to pay based on experience. So it could be more or less than what the Booster Club provides.
Within the step schedule, and that's why we present the range. So yes, it could be from $800 to like $3,400. And so as a part of the process, and it's a process that involves HR, finance, and academics, one of the things that we do is we work with the Booster Club, and if they assume it'll be $800 supplements, they still have to go through finance to ensure that it does cover the maximum amount, and it does cover fringe and benefits. And then after that's done, then it goes to maybe academics in this case, because when we noticed that the request was for something that was not on the schedule, that's where we had a conversation about what does this person do? And that's where we look to see this is most similar to, and we found one that compared in terms of what they wanted someone to do but hadn't been included on the schedule yet. And that's how that range was determined. Does that make sense?
Can I ask a question, Ms. Turner? Do you have any idea, or is there any design structure or mandated structure for booster clubs at each high school, or is it just up to them? The reason
Actually, I'm looking at Ms. Tucker because she's worked so closely with booster clubs to determine that. So I'm going to defer to you.
There's no.
There is none.
Well, the reason I asked that, I sort of knew the answer, but I didn't know if things had changed. When Ms. Huddle brought up the question about the booster clubs, they're structured differently. So some have a bigger pot of money, so to speak, and so the people at one school have an access to a more amount of money. So, in all fairness, it's not. If they're set up differently, I'll give you an example. Chapin High School has the Chapin Booster Club, and they do an awesome job. They do. But all requests from all sports, all athletics goes to the Booster Club, and their club they vote on, and they determine who gets what. Dutch Fork High School has the football booster, the baseball booster, the golf, and so those minor sports don't have access, typically are not going to have access to the same amount of money that a larger sport would have. I always wondered why it was structured like that, but when we look at the stipends, Dr. Ross, it might be a good idea because of, again, in trying to be transparent and fair with all these schools, that we look at some sort of structure with regards to booster clubs. It would be, I like the idea of having an IRMO booster club, and so all sports can make their requests or their recommendations, or, you know, get the support from the booster club like they do at Chapin. And I think Dutch Fork would be the same thing. I would like to see one booster club. Now, I don't know if that's something, obviously it's something that's never been addressed.
I don't think we can mandate that as but I'm looking to you, Ms. Tucker. We do recommend, but we have to serve ex officio in terms of that. But Ms. Tucker, you can speak to the formation of them.
So this year, with the new change in state law requiring booster clubs to register with the school district, as well as getting the SLED background checks that they have to pay for, we've made some recommendations about best practices, because if you have 10 booster clubs at one school, now each one of those booster clubs are paying $25 for their background check for their treasurer and their president. So each booster club is now out $50 potentially if they don't have people that cross over between booster clubs. If you only have one booster club, then they're just covering the one registration, one background check payment. So ideally, it would be best practice to consolidate, and so we've made some of those recommendations, but as long as they're doing their background checks and registering and providing their financials, they're meeting the requirements of our policy for parent-led organizations.
Right.
So-
Well, I guess my concern is, it's like the request tonight. You know, if people with their booster clubs have a pretty good pot of money, they can make a lot of requests, whereas the other districts may have the same need, but because their booster clubs cannot provide the same resources, then I don't know. It's just, I like all things being equal as much as we can, so.
Ms. Huddle, wait. Ms. Barnhart, Mr. Herring, then Ms. Huddle.
I do agree with that on the booster club situation, but like you said, that's not really something that we can do from here, but I do think that's a good idea. I have a question on the supplement schedule that's on page 3. I'm assuming the step is years of experience, where it goes 0 to 14, correct? Yes, correct. How do we come up with these numbers specifically? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, how these numbers came about, how we've determined who gets what when it comes to these.
It's based on a review of the individual person's relevant experience to the role. And so that is handled right now at the school level based on the resume or application provided by the applicant. But it's similar to what we do in human resources when we calculate job experience. It's just what they provide as being relevant to the role. Many of them return to their roles at a school over time too. And so we know that the step progresses with that as well.
And these are just one-time payments?
Yes, one-time payments, and each year, they sign a supplement agreement, and as a part of that supplement agreement, they understand this is one time. It does not permanently affect their salary, and so there is an agreement where the district explains this to them, and they have to sign to receive it as a one-time. Then next year, each year, they have to reapply for it.
And I just asked that question just because one of the numbers popped out at me. I mean, going all the way kind of through from the assistant athletic director to the athletic trainer assistant. Why does basketball varsity head coach start off so much higher than all the other positions?
It might be that this is a reflection of what's been in the approved budget for quite some time. It might be based on some of the things that we're going to tease out more clearly with the new supplement schedule. We're being a little more specific about teasing out things like number of games supervised, schedule, number of students supervised. And so some of it at one point may have been attached to area of responsibility, but that's something else that we want to get back to clarifying a little more whenever we do the revision to that supplement schedule.
Okay, I would just like to see that because, I mean, I'm not familiar with a lot of the sports, but, you know, I guess it would depend on how many practices they do, how many hours they're spending doing those kinds of things. But, you know, say a cross-country coach with 10 years of experience is kind of at the same level as a 0 to 1 year varsity basketball coach. So just to kind of see some of the more payment kind of on the right level, I would be curious to see more of. But thank
I
you.
know our principals have been working with us too on helping us tease out what should be the defining factors in terms of compensation. So that should be forthcoming whenever because some of it may need to be updated, which is what we're attempting to do.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Herring?
This has the potential to be very unpopular, but I'm going to say it anyway. So if these positions are truly supervising our students, and they have to do with safety of our students, and we value them, I don't feel like we should put it on the booster clubs to be funding it. I believe we should fund this. These are our students. If you've got 150 kids at a track meet, you can't have one administrator there. It's just, and so in order to respect this fairness from Booster Club and what one Booster Club is able to do, I don't understand why this can't come through the principal to a request to the superintendent to be added,
As a job.
into our funding. I know we're talking about this is mid-year and things pop up, but I think we probably have room for contingencies of these amounts. So, yeah.
No, I agree, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to do the study to get this right, because what will happen is if one comes up, there are 20 more behind that of things that say, well, you can fund this as well. Well, I've been doing this for free, and I come out here and I clean up all this, and no one's paid me. So what we were trying to do is kind of like the question Ms. Barnhart asked, why is this pay here and that pay there? We've been doing kind of whack-a-mole with supplements and duties. I'm trying to get a more comprehensive study behind that. Is cross-country, we got to take another look at it. 20 years ago, maybe that was enough. Today, what are the demands of that? We added games we've added a lot more games. We've added lacrosse since then. So I think if I could use between November and April to get that study, it will be in the budget as a request, but it'd be holistically about, and I think that's for fairness. There are some that are raising their hand and saying, give me relief now, and there's some that are just doing it. And I think for all of those, a study would capture as many voices in the supplement pool as possible. But I agree.
Ms. Huddle, did you still have a question or comment?
No, Mr. Herring asked my question.
All right, then last question, and then we're gonna take it to vote.
Yeah, I guess maybe I'm going to push back a little bit on, I don't agree with what you said, Mr. Satterfield, about the fairness of the booster clubs. I think, and I can speak specifically towards the Dazzlers, I would not agree with a single Dutch Fork booster for all sports the way that you described Chapin. The Dazzlers, those girls earn the booster club earn every dollar that they raise. They go out and they work their tails off earning money, and they are exceptionally enthusiastic about that club and that team. And they're pulling from the same areas, from the same business owners in Irmo that Irmo would have access to, that Chapin would have access to. They're just particularly good at their job. They're good at raising money. They're excited. And the coaches receiving these supplements earn every single dollar that they get paid. So why should we limit, if that was under a single overall organizational booster club for the entire athletic department, they would get short-sighted and would not receive the same allotment that they are able to go out and earn and raise for themselves as an individual booster club unit specifically for the Dazzler dance team. So I think that for them, I think that's the right model, and they should be able to reap what they sowed as far as their fundraising efforts. So full disclosure, my daughter's a Dazzler, so I'm very close to that scenario, so I know exactly what they go through and the effort that entire organization puts into making it run. The coaches are phenomenal. They take care of our girls. The community support that they have is unlike you've ever seen. So I think this supplement is well-earned, well-deserved, and they should get it. Now, whether, how it looks on future schedules for supplements that the district makes, that's to be determined. But for the Dazzlers, I know for that particular supplement, it is well-earned and well worth it.
No more questions or comments. We have a motion on the floor that has been properly seconded. All of those in favor? Who made the motion to begin with? We're on the original motion. It would, yes.
No, the amendment, yes, so
Yes.
it's just to approve the one
It's
line
just to
item for the
approve the one
Dazzlers.
line item for the Dazzlers supplement.
And all of Exhibit F, though, right?
No, those
No.
are already in the budget.
Those were already in the budget. So just the Dazzlers. All those in favor? Yes. That's the one that's left. All opposed? And the motion fails 5-2. But as an aside, I do agree with Mr. Herring's standpoint about something that's more universal across the board. Because as you said, Dr. Ross, if we, they're gonna keep coming down the pipeline, and I don't know how we determine equity and fairness, across the board. That moves us to number 14 under the action agenda, approval of the memorandum of understanding with Irma Chapin Rec. Do I have a motion?
We have a presentation.
Oh, I'm sorry, there's a presentation.
Yes.
Oh, and he's waited so patiently. Come on down.
It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Jason White. He's the Operations Superintendent for the Irma Recreation Commission. Jason has been an integral part of the ICRC team, overseeing operations and maintenance. We've been collaborating with Jason and his team since early spring 2025, discussing the possibilities and opportunities of a potential partnership with the Bridge Development League. So I'm going to turn it over to him and let him speak with you tonight.
Thank you, Tina. Good evening, everyone. Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Ross, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you tonight about the Bridge Development League. Some of this is going to sound familiar. I know you've seen some of this before, but did want to touch on this again just to let you know that we're all on the same page. And it has been a pleasure to work with Stephen Puckett and his team, his ADs, his coaches. They've been very engaged, very passionate, very bought in, which is very critical for something like this to succeed. So I can't say enough about him and his team. They've been fantastic to work with. And also on behalf of ICRC, I also just want to extend a thank you to you all for the longstanding partnership that we've had with the school district. It's been a blessing to our community. It's been a blessing to our agency. It's part of our mission to enhance the quality of life for all citizens of our district. And that is due. We're able to do that in large part for the relationship that we have with you all. So it's been great. And working together, we're able to make better lives, better families, and thereby making better communities. So thank you all very much. Before I jump into the Bridge League, I will say that over the last several years, we've looked at different versions of something like this, but just haven't really been able to land on a plan, on a format that we were really comfortable with, much less that we felt was really necessary. We'll look at some data and some trends here in a moment, but we were kind of tracking along with our youth sports of going along with a kind of a if it's not broke, don't fix it phase. And we've recognized that some trends have changed, some things are different now, there's more offerings, so it's time to take a reevaluation of our product and see what we can do differently. So before I get into the Bridge League specifically, and I will tie this all in back to the Bridge League, but I want to kind of paint a little bit of a picture if I can. And tell a bit of a story kind of on youth sports in general, some national trends, some local trends, and then everything that I'm going to present, the first couple slides, of course, it ties back into why we're here right now with the Bridge League. So to start off looking at just some benefits of youth sports, and I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, have had some experience with youth sports, either through your own children, yourselves, possibly coached, or a little bit of all the above. But just to go over some of the benefits of youth sports in general. It reduces anxiety and depression. We see improved mood and well-being. Physical activity increases brain activity, which leads to the children feeling better about themselves. Enhanced social and life skills. Team sports fosters a sense of belonging, strengthens interpersonal skills, and it builds relationships. Kids and parents, for that matter, can benefit from these things as far as being out on the ball field. They're likely to make new friends, and building community, bringing communities together is a hallmark of what we do at ICRC. Increased self-esteem. Children working together towards a shared goal as a team makes a child feel like they're part of something, a little mini family, if you will. They can feel good about themselves and their contribution towards that shared goal. Cognitive enhancements. Youth sports improves concentration, memory, and attention. Improved academic performance. Studies have shown that it leads to higher GPAs, better test scores, higher educational aspirations, and of course, higher graduation rates. Also, better school habits. Studies have found that they have higher attendance rates, as well as less behavioral issues. And lastly, and of course I just had to put this in there, it's just fun. There's so many other benefits to youth sports, but these are the ones that kind of stand out to us at ICRC. But it's all about having a good time. It's all about having fun, bringing communities together, a bit of an escape from the rigors of life. So this is some data that we've collected from NRPA, the National Recreation and Parks Association, on a youth sports report. This was a joint venture that they collaborated with Nike across the nation. They researched approximately 400 different parks and rec agencies nationwide to come up with this data. So again, there's a lot more to this report, and that report is available on the NRPA website if you'd like to take a look at it. But again, these are some of the ones that we pulled out that kind of stood out. That referee shortage, that's not 7%, that's 67%, by the way, so that's a typo. But going down the line here, not enough volunteer coaches. 82% of those folks that were polled recognized that they had an issue with finding volunteer coaches, and we absolutely checked that box as well. It's not uncommon for us, let's just say we have a 10-team soccer league in one of our age groups, and we've got 5 coaches that are covering those teams. We've got the schedules ready, we've got the rosters ready, we're ready to roll the balls out, and we're still reaching out to parents, trying to get folks to raise their hand to coach. So a coaching shortage is a real thing. Lack of facilities, again, that was an interesting number, so that's why we included it for 67%. And thankfully, again, going back to our relationship with you all, with the school district, we don't necessarily have that issue. I will say that if we were dependent solely on the facilities that we do have with ICRC, that we would fall in that category. But anytime that we are over capacity or reach the max of our capacity, we can always reach out to the schools, to the principals, and supplement our needs with the facilities that we have at the schools as well. I can say on the Chapin end last year with basketball, Crooked Creek Park, as you probably know, only has 2 basketball courts, and we have 60 some odd teams. So we had to utilize space at Chapin Middle School. That's a regular thing. We also utilize both gymnasiums at Spring Hill. So again, because of the relationship that we have with you all, the lack of facilities, thankfully, isn't an issue that we fall into. The referee shortage, again, that's actually 67%, and that is a real thing as well. We check that box also. The problem that we find as well is trying to get referees, and we can't quite find them, so we have to supplement with our full-time dedicated athletic staff. And we want our athletic staff to be on the ball field, but in a different capacity. We want our staff to be out there mingling with the parents, watching the kids, talking with the coaches, seeing their product in action. But instead, many times we find that our guys, which are very talented, or end up suiting up, putting on a striped shirt and a whistle, and they're the ones that are out there calling the games. Inappropriate parent behavior, 57%. I think we could all say there's a direct correlation to that and the referee shortage. That's one of the bigger reasons we have a referee shortage, is the kind of the verbal abuse sometimes that those folks take. So that speaks for itself. Competition with travel sports, 51%. It's not just us, and this is not to cast any kind of dispersions against travel sports, but as far as its effect on rec sports, it has made a measurable difference. And then lack of youth interest. I included this one, even though it's less than 50%. This one just kind of stood out to me as just kind of a sad statistic. That 40% of the agencies that these folks polled nationwide found that kids just aren't interested in youth sports. And granted, we do an awful lot more than just youth sports at ICRC, so youth sports isn't for everybody. We certainly understand that, and hopefully they're engaged in something else, whether it be the arts or anything else. But for that number to be 40% of that many folks polled that just aren't interested in sports, it's kind of sad. So we hope to change that. This chart here is actual data from ICRC district-wide between Seven Oaks Park and Crooked Creek Park and our participation over the years. It's not the greatest chart. It doesn't go in the right direction, but again, if you look at it, this goes back to 2015, and that 4-year stretch of between 2015 to about 2019, that was the "it's not broke, so don't fix it" phase. Numbers were tracking nicely. They're holding steady, ups and downs. And then, of course, 2020 and 2021 hits with COVID, and you can see the obvious dip that we had in participation because of the massive changes that we experienced around the world. And then we kind of started to rebound a little bit, but never could quite get back above that pre-COVID tracking. And not only could we not get above it, as you can see, we've still been kind of trending downwards. And these are numbers up until our most recent annual report that's available as well. And I will also say, on behalf of our staff, again, if any of you have had the opportunity to work with any of our athletic staff, whether it's full-time or part-time, I do always have to throw this out as a caveat because I really appreciate my staff. This is not an indictment of their work. This is not an indictment of the work that they've put forward. Again, just trends, there's new opportunities, people are just looking for different things. So the model and the recipe that we've worked with in the past, it worked for a time, and now we're looking to try to change something up a little bit. So it's not necessarily anything that our folks have done wrong. So as a result, some of the contributing factors to those kind of downward trends, and again, this is not to cast any dispersions against travel sports, but travel sports is it's been on the come up for a while. I think we started recognizing probably in the early 2010s, middle 2010s, that travel sports was really kind of catch on as more popular, and rec sports was right there beside it. But travel sports did offer a different product than what rec sports did, namely competitive versus a non-competitive nature. When we recognized that travel sports was on the come up, we kind of had our own little internal conversations about whether or not we want to remain kind of on the non-competitive side because we're rec sports. Rec sports is for everybody. You don't really focus too much on the score. It's about bringing everyone together, teaching them how to play the sport. So the competitive nature wasn't a significant emphasis, and we recognized that it was in travel sports. But again, to maintain that offering for everyone, we kind of started to trend a little bit more towards the non-competitive piece. And therefore, the children that were either more athletically inclined, a little bit more athletically gifted, they were the ones that kind of started to leave the rec programs and filter into the travel programs, which is fine. But we recognized that it was a difference in the quality of our programs. Higher level of player development and coaching. Again, going back to the coaching statistic that I presented a moment ago, and God bless the volunteer coaches that we do have. They're great, they're fantastic. A lot of them bring a lot to the table as far as experience, attentiveness to the children, flexibility. But then there's also some folks that whenever we put a call out that we need coaches, we get some parents, and again, we appreciate them too, as much as we can, that will say, well, I don't really have much experience in soccer, but I know you need some help, so I'll help. So that kind of hurts a little bit as far as the quality, and we only have so many tools and resources that we can put out. And our staff will go out there occasionally and help them run a practice or two, give them some resources that they can help facilitate a practice. But in the end, it's up to the volunteer coaches, so we can't really do it without them. So that's been an issue that we've been facing as well. And of course, the status and significance, the kids and the parents are kind of asking, if they're playing rec sports, who or what are we playing for? Is there something else out there? So again, all that brings us to where we are today with the Bridge Development League. And this is language that you are probably already familiar with. This is language that comes straight from the MOU. But this initiative is, again, it's what it says, that we are going to seek to foster a true athletic feeder program. And the reason I say it that way is because over the years, we as an ICRC have kind of always said, we're a feeder system into the school district. We're a feeder system to the athletic program at District 5. Honestly, that was more or less just kind of something that we said. There was nothing really intentional or purposeful about that. We said that because we're in the same backyard, we share the same kids, they go to school at School District 5, they come play sports with us at a young age, and geography just says that wherever they go to where they play sports with us in the Irmo Chapin communities, they're eventually most likely going to go to School District 5, play sports there. So we said that's a feeder system. Well, no, it really wasn't. We occasionally had some input from some of the coaches. I can remember some of the varsity football coaches, Coach McLeod's baseball coaches, Some basketball coaches, they would come and give occasional talks to our coaches, maybe a clinic or two, but nothing was really structured and intentional behind ICRC being a true feeder system into the athletic programs at School District 5. So that's what we're going to have. That's what we're going to have here. The next bullet, and again, I highlighted this, the second part of that on purpose because this is where folks are going to see a tangible difference in the leagues. The children are going to be assigned to teams based on their zoned Lexington-Richland School District 5 middle school team at the time of registration. So right now, no matter where they, no matter where they go to school at, depending on what age group they fall into, we just kind of put them all on a team together. And the younger age groups, we put the teams together ourselves. We assemble them. Usually about the ages of around 9 or 10 years old, they start to go through evaluations and coaches drafts, and the coaches put them together. But school district does, or school location doesn't really play a factor into it. Well, now it's going to. So we're going to be intentional about putting these children together based on their zone middle school. And league games and practices are still going to take place at ICRC and Lexington Richland 5 facilities. We are going to be, again, more intentional about playing games. Again, depending on the sport, depending on the age group, depending on the location. We're currently in the schools, but or at least a school or two. But as we get into this initiative, we're going to branch that out a little bit more so they can be truly playing either in the schools that they're currently attending or the schools that they're going to attend. So as far as ICRC's responsibilities with this Bridge League, again, it's still the ICRC league. If you're familiar with our leagues, there's not going to be much difference in what you're going to experience outside of the way that the teams are assembled. All the leagues are still going to be run by us. We take all the registrations. We go over the league rules. We recruit the volunteer coaches. We schedule the game officials. We put together the rosters. We put together the game schedules, player evaluations, all the things that we've always done, we're going to continue to do. The marketing, we provide the equipment, we provide the dedicated athletic staff. All those things are going to be very familiar to folks that have been in our programs in the past. As far as the school district responsibilities, the athletic leads and the middle level directors are going to be very, very critical to what we do. This is one of the missing pieces that we didn't have. We had long been speaking about the need for ambassadors for our youth sports leagues. To have somebody kind of boots on the ground, someone that speaks the language, someone that can promote the product, promote the program, encourage kids and parents to come sign up for this thing. And it's just something that we've been missing for quite a while. So having these middle-level directors and the athletic leads at the elementary schools is going to be very critical to the success of this. Marketing. Of course, we have a marketing department with ICRC, and our marketing director is fantastic at what she does, but she's limited. She only has so many tools, and our reach isn't near as far as the school district's reach. So by being able to partner with the school district on the marketing efforts, doing a little bit more than just the flyers and club cards and things like that, and the social media posts will still be a thing. But again, working with the school district on some additional technologies that we don't have access to, we see as a very good thing, a very good outlet for the folks to promote this program, and again, a much broader reach than what we can attain at ICRC. And then coaching. This is not to say by any means that the coaches at the middle school, JV, and varsity levels are going to be the ones to do the coaching. They've got enough on their plates to do that. We're still going to be relying upon volunteer coaches. So what we mean here by coaches is we're going to get direct input from those middle school JV and varsity coaches in helping acclimate our volunteer coaches into their systems. Kind of help teaching the kids to speak their language so that by the time that they do get into the middle school leagues and the JV leagues and the varsity leagues, going up through our programs, they're already familiar with their coaches' systems. So I'll also say that the NRPA report that I referenced a moment ago, and also our NRPA conference, which I attended in Orlando a few weeks ago, I attended several sessions on youth sports, and there's quite a synonymous trend of the need, again, nationwide, for more training for the volunteer coaches. So this is one of the goals that we're expecting to accomplish with that. Giving the school coaches, or having the school coaches providing the how-tos of their coaching methods is going to be a huge asset. So the pilot season is upon us. It is going to be with our Winter Basketball League. Again, we've been in conversations with Mr. Puckett, his team, since back in April, and we felt that the winter basketball season was going to provide us with sufficient time to put something together that we could work with. So again, staying within those grades of the 5th to 8th grade, and but again, we sign children up not necessarily based on grade, but by age. We're going to start with 11, 12 boys, 13, 14 boys, not 11 girls, and 12, 14 girls. And if the registration numbers, if they just stay steady with what we had last year this time, again, we're expecting an increase. We're hoping for that. But if we just stay consistent with what we had last year, that's going to equate to about 425 children between the Irma and Chapin areas. So kind of bringing it back, we looked at youth sports benefits, and now we'll land it with the Bridge League benefits that we see. The Rec Sports for All equals higher quality leagues. Coaching and having participants of all skill levels will lead to better leagues, better competition, better player development, and a better overall experience for the kids, coaches, and parents. So that's what we're hoping for. We want to bring back those kids that, again, are of the higher, more elite athletic ability and bring them back with the other children so that we can have a good quality league for everyone involved. Again, I mentioned the marketing reach. It's going to be a massive benefit to this league to have the tools and the resources that the school district provides, so we're truly grateful for that, as well as the league ambassadors. School pride. We're hoping that more kids are going to want to sign up because they'll feel a direct connection to their school. And I will also say that this initiative is going to create developmental teams for kids that are rising middle schoolers in the 5th and 6th grade. But it's also a developmental league for the middle schoolers that are already there specifically. And this is going to give kids the opportunity to still play for their school even if they go to a tryout and get cut. Speaking from personal experience, our son tried out for the middle school team. He's in college now, but tried out for the Chapin Middle School team years ago, and there was probably 80 to 100 kids there that were trying out. And of course, there's only about a dozen spots left. So a lot of kids got cut. But now, if that's the case, we will have a presence on site for those middle school cuts to encourage those folks, those kids and their parents to come sign up with us, and they're still going to be able to play for their school. So we're hoping that that's going to encourage some additional signups as well, some additional participation. Again, a true feeder program into the middle school, JV, and varsity sports. This true collaboration with the school athletic program, not only the leads and the middle level directors, but buy-in and support from the school coaches and athletic directors is critical. We did a version of a D League several years ago with football, and it kind of fizzled. So having the buy-in and having everyone on the same page with that same passion, which I believe that we do right now between both entities, ICRC and District 5, is very critical, and I feel like it is there. And then lastly, programming for teens and tweens. That's that tough age group for us to program for. If you look at our activity guide, we offer a lot of activities for elementary school age children, and then it kind of jumps to adults. We have a few offerings for the middle school children and high school kids, but that's just always been a very tough market for us to hit and find a niche for that they really want to participate in. So we're hoping to get more of those kids out, get those kids active, and hopefully reduce that 40% lack of interest that the NRPA poll found. So with that, I'll be happy to take any questions.
Do we have any questions? Mr. Scully?
Yeah, can we make changes to the MOU? For example, on number 4 of the first page where it says children will be assigned to teams based on their zoned school at the time of, can we change that to their zoned or attended school at the time of registration? Because if their choice and they're going to another school outside of their zone, why would we not allow them to play with the kids that they go to school with?
Yeah, we can definitely, we can do that via practice as well. I see what you're saying. I think when we set it, it is if you're selected at that middle school, then that's your zone school to the highest level. So,
So would that, under that scenario, would zone be okay?
that would be okay. That's correct.
And to Mr. Scully, to echo what Dr. Ross said, that language, I hear what you're saying, and we kind of batted that back and forth as well. That was more so intended for the 5th and 6th graders who aren't in middle school yet. It's what their zone middle school is going to be for. But whenever I will say this, whenever parents, right now, registration actually starts on Thursday for this league. So whenever parents sign up, whether it's online or in person at the parks, they're going to get a list of questions as they normally do, contact information, allergies, things like that. And they're going to get the question of which school will your child be attending? It won't say zoned, it'll say attending. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I meant to mention this as well, so thank you for bringing that up. I meant to mention as well, yes, this is an initiative between ICRC and School District 5. However, all children are still welcome to play in the program. We have children that sign up with us from Richland 2. We have children that sign up from Newberry. We have homeschool children that aren't in School District 5 schools. It's not exclusive to School District 5 children, so everyone's still going to get a chance to play.
Ms.
I'm sorry, go
Ms.
ahead.
Barnhart, I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
No, you're fine.
Did you have your hand up?
I was just going to say, that depending on how we structure those teams, is going to depend on how many children we have that sign up. If we only have a handful of non-District 5 students, they'll get kind of sprinkled amongst the teams. If we have enough, if we have enough, we could possibly have a homeschool team, or a Richland 2 or a Newberry team. So that'll be dependent upon the numbers that we have sign up. I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
So we're starting with basketball, or you said we've already kind of done that with Chapin. Where will this program be still in the Chapin area? The one for this semester?
Irmo and Chapin.
Irmo and Chapin.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's working, and I think that's awesome. I love this idea. I've had kids play on both LR5 teams, and we were at ICRC for a long time too. And my question is, once we get into other sports, so soccer, baseball, how is it going to be determined where, because in the agreement, it says that the fields and gyms will be available from ICRC, and then the ones from LR5 as well. How is that going to be determined when and where and how they're used? Because I'm a baseball mom, so they're at practice at one point in time kind of every afternoon, and then if not, there's something going on at ICRC when they've got baseball too. And I'm just curious how it's going to look down the line with different sports, and how we're going to make sure that these kids can play in whatever area that they're going to be at, but also not taking away from the JV, varsity, all of those that are already playing on those fields at the district. Does that make sense?
I will say, and hopefully this is good, this is going to answer your question. If it doesn't, please let me know. This is not going to be a parallel league to our leagues as they've always been. This is the league that we've always done. So in other words, we expect the numbers to be hopefully no less and hopefully to increase, and we have room at our own facilities for those leagues to continue to be facilitated. Again, we want to be intentional about bringing those children to their schools if they're going to be the Jackets, or if they're going to be the Eagles, to play at those facilities if we can. And that's where the conversations that we've been having with Mr. Puckett, with the athletic directors, with the coaches as well, on what the school availabilities are. We want to try to get those children in around what the other activities are that are already scheduled. So, and the reason I say that about the parallel league is because if the numbers stay the same, they'll have a place to play. It may still be at the ICRC facilities, depending on the sport, and depending on the school facilities that are available to us, they'll still have a place to play. And we're just going to we're going to be more intentional about getting them to their schools where available, where the schedules are available.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, Ms. Huddle?
Have you guys thought about offering any new sports?
New sports?
Yeah.
Oh, all the time.
Okay, have you considered volleyball?
We actually have a version of that. We facilitated volleyball a couple years back at Crooked Creek. Again, my most recent history is at Crooked Creek, so I can speak most intelligently on that end. And we currently have volleyball there. Well, let me back up. The volleyball that we did offer, it was registered through us. It was a league. Well, let me take that back. It wasn't a league. It was more instructional, more developmental. They would meet 2 times a week. We had coaches, and let's just say Tuesday. I think it was a Tuesday, Thursday league. On Tuesdays, they would have instruction. On Thursdays, they would have kind of scrimmages. They would put together their teams and have scrimmages. It wasn't a specific league. We didn't quite have enough interest and enough participation for a specific league. That's kind of morphed into us having a contracted vendor, contracted instructor. So while the registrations don't go through us, they utilize our gymnasium, and so it's provided through a third party.
So a kind of follow-up question is, since we'll have these individuals at the middle school and the elementary schools, I'm assuming part of their job will be to look at, what sports tryouts do we have for middle school where we're having substantially more kids try out than we have spaces? And is it safe to say if we have that situation with volleyball or some other sport that you guys could look at opening that sport up? Because we do have a lot of kids that don't get in?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Mr. Satterfield?
Mr. White, how are you? Mr. White is one of my former students, by the way.
Coach Satterfield.
Yeah, how you doing? How has this been well received by the coaches at the high school, or have you had a chance to talk with them yet?
The coaches that we've spoken with from the high school right now have just been the basketball coaches because of the pilot season that we have coming up.
Right.
And they're very much on board. We had a meeting about a week or two ago with Mr. Puckett and coaches from boys and girls basketball. And they were all very much on board. In addition, hearing from some of the ADs that we've spoken with on behalf of some of their other coaches with outside of just basketball, a lot of excitement, a lot of enthusiasm.
I would think that would be a huge asset. I would think they'd be really excited. It'd be a huge asset to every program because when I was coaching, what we taught the middle school kids was so very important because that helped them really develop. The other thing is I like the idea of a lot of kids getting involved because one of the things I used to hate to do was cut. But I'm excited too for the academic end of things that we're going to see. When kids have a tie to their school and it's like they feel like they're part of something, they seem to behave a little better in the classroom. They seem to do a little better academically. So I'm really excited about this program. So I wish you the best here.
Thank you.
All right, if we don't have any other questions, do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the memorandum of understanding with Irma Chapin Recreation Commission Bridge Development League per Exhibit G.
Second.
All in favor? And the motion carries 7-0. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. All right, that moves us to number 15 on the action agenda, approval of second and final reading of proposed revisions to board policy GCLE unencumbered time. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve second and final reading of proposed revisions to board policy GCLE unencumbered time per Exhibit H.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? And the motion carries 7-0. That takes us to first reading of board policy JICG, tobacco use by students. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve discussion and first reading of discussion and first reading of changes to board policy JICG, tobacco use by students per Exhibit I.
Second.
All in favor?
Could
Oh,
we
I'm
just,
sorry.
I was just
Yep.
curious, could we get like an explanation for why we needed to change it?
Good evening. The explanation for the change, this is a strong recommendation by the School Boards Association that the specific language highlighted in blue is included, and so we simply follow the lead of our School Boards Association to include that.
So for the folks that may be watching, the change is really just that we're going to better communicate the policy. It'll be posted, and we changed it from may be posted to will be
To will be,
posted.
that is
Okay,
correct.
in
That is
highly
correct.
visible areas.
That is
Thanks.
correct.
All those in favor? And the motion carries 7-0.
All right, I'm on a roll. I move that the board approve Ms. Kimberly Snipes, Mr. Kevin Scully, and Mr. Mike Satterfield as delegates for the 2025 Delegate Assembly and to allocate the delegate votes for Ms. Elizabeth Barnhart, Mr. Jason Bainum, Dr. Scott Herring, and Ms. Kathy Huddle.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? And the motion carries 7-0. Takes us to the final item on the action agenda, board requests pursuant to board policy BEDGA, board records.
That's me again. What's in the agenda is not really accurate. If you go to Exhibit K, I was not asking for information per board record policy. What I was actually asking for was to have an item on the agenda under discussion, just to talk about discipline, and not any particular area of discipline, but just as a board, what are we hearing from parents? What are we hearing from teachers? what does the administration think the trends are going forward? Are there things that we can change or need to change to improve discipline in our schools so that our parents are happier, our teachers are happier? And so I gave the explanation before the motion, but I'll make my motion. I move that we put an item on the agenda for a discussion item on our agenda for our next meeting to discuss discipline in our schools.
Second.
Yes, I wanted to just ask for points of clarification. The email, and I have no problem if we have a discussion on the code of conduct. I think that's a good conversation to have. The email said that there was widespread belief by parents that we're not enforcing the code of conduct. If the administration is going to speak on possible solutions, board policy is very clear that all of those complaints, this is board policy BCA, Board Member Code of Ethics, that all complaints, referring all complaints to the superintendent and discussing them at a regular meeting if a failure to arrive at an administrative solution occurs. And I don't have a record of these widespread complaints being submitted to the administration so that we can get to an administrative solution. So if we're preparing for a discussion on not enforcing the code of conduct, I think board policy says that we should receive these so that we can come up with a possible solution. If not, I would ask that we have a conversation on the code of conduct. I think our administrators and principals work very hard doing discipline. If they're going to be accused of not doing discipline or failing to do the discipline, we should hold to the board member code of ethics and present that information to me to investigate so that we can try to bring that to a satisfactory resolution. Because this information was not provided, the board policy on board requests says that I could bring this to the body for this decision. So again, I'm prepared to have a conversation on the code of conduct, but that's not what this email said. The request said that we were not enforcing the code of conduct. And if that's not been reported to the administration, how can we respond on not enforcing the code of conduct?
If I can clarify, and I appreciate your question, Dr. Ross. I don't, and maybe using the term widespread is a misnomer because I don't know that it's widespread. I just know that from the calls and the stuff I get, I hear a lot. And the reason that those haven't gone to you individually is because we've had a lot of discussions about routing parents back through their teachers and principals. So that's what I've always done or tried to do. But I continue to get, I got a call this week, today, from parents about a parent who feel their child is being bullied. I got a call last week from a parent who feels their child is being bullied. And I told them to go, through the routes, and as far as I know, that's what they're doing. I went on school visit. I witnessed an issue in a restroom. I went on another school visit. I witnessed girls' skirts that were clearly way too short. And I'm not going to blame the principal because I'm hearing it from it's not even one school. It's not two schools. I'm hearing it from lots of schools. And so and I'm not blaming the administration. I just think that times have changed, and our code of conduct, our discipline policies are about the same as they probably were 10 years ago. And I know this issue will never go away, but I think that the board needs to have a recognition and a discussion of it and talk about what we can do to help, if it's a policy change, if it's funding, whatever it may be.
And I'll just be brief. I agree. I think I would love to have a conversation on code of conduct. I think that's very helpful. If we're going to say something is not being done, remember all of our employees, especially our administrators, are under the Teacher Dismissal Act. If there's an accusation against them, they do have the right to have that reported. Our board policy says that if you hear it, you refer to the superintendent. So no matter how big or small, refer it to me and we'll investigate it. But if we make that accusation that it's not being done, they can come to me for regress. And I just don't want to be public and say, at this school, we're not doing it. And they come to me and say, Dr. Ross, I want readdress for this. I am doing my job. We said, well, we've never reported this. We didn't follow board policy. I would ask, could we have a conversation about the code of conduct as it stands? Let us investigate any individual issues, but we have data set on discipline, how many referrals we issue, what time of day these referrals are, what are the referrals in. And so I do think we can have one. I think my issue is that there was accusation of widespread not enforcing it, which is a serious offense against our administrators if they're not enforcing the code of conduct. So I just think if we can investigate that, bring that back, but I think it's best to look at what is the code of conduct, what are our expectations. And I will just say this too, you have to be a certified administrator to issue discipline because there are other issues at hand. There are FERPA rights that are federal protections for students. We cannot, and no parents say, well, what happened to that kid who hit my son? I wish we could tell you, but we would be in violation of the FERPA rights. There are also protections under IDEA, and I think parents need to hear this all in totality, that why didn't my child get what that child got? Well, that child may have a BIP, may have a IEP, may have protection, federal protections, which we cannot divulge. And so sometimes we may be accused of things and not having the whole context. So, I mean, if the discussion is about not meeting the code of conduct, the administration won't be prepared to respond. If the conversation is about the code of conduct and how we apply the code of conduct, the administration will be very prepared to respond.
Dr. Ross, can you share with the board the various groups that you meet with regards to the Parent Advisory Council and such things like that?
Yes, so we have parent advisory, student advisory, community advisory, faculty advisory, staff advisory, and senior citizens advisory, safety advisory. Dr. Harris chairs that. And all of these kind of come to give us our feedback on our programs.
Right. And Dr. Harris, you all go through every year and examine the discipline handbook and make changes and do what you need to do to make sure it's updated, right?
That's correct. We review based on trends. We review that. We make updates, and we also pay close attention to, and in partnership with the State Department of Education as well as different things that come down from that area to make certain that they're included in the Code of Conduct Handbook.
Right. And Dr. Ross, you shared that there is data that's available that for every school in the state of South Carolina, where you can see the discipline, the issues, and the number of instances and things like that, right?
There's external data you'll kind of see on the report card that comes out, and then we have internal data that our principals can mine to look at some trends as well.
All right, I'm gonna call for the vote. So Ms. Huddle, can you repeat your motion for me, please? I'm sorry.
And I'll change it to accommodate Dr. Ross's suggestion. I move that we put an item on the agenda for our next meeting under discussion to discuss the Code of Conduct.
I'll second.
All in favor? And the motion carries 5-1. 5-0, sorry.